Well, hello, beautiful people. It's me, Sam, from your friendly neighborhood Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, and I am here to rank my favorite Pixar films from my least favorite to my most favorite in honor of Pixar's latest release, Elemental. So, without further ado, I want to get into it, and once again, these are just my opinions. Not trying to offend anyone. I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong, nothing like that. This is just my opinion, okay? And there are going to be a few of them on my list where I rank them are going to upset a few people, but that's fine. It's just my opinion. All right. At number 27 is Brave. Look, this movie is just dull. It's boring. It's like a lesser Walt Disney animated movie. It doesn't even feel like a Pixar movie. Yeah, there's some good voice work and some pretty cool action set pieces, but besides that, yeah, this movie is forgettable. It's not a bad movie, it's just not a good one. All right, same thing for my next up. At number 26 is Cars 2. Not a bad movie, but not really a good movie. I thought the whole spy thing was pretty cool at the time, but now it just has not aged well. I mean, what were they thinking in making Mater the like pretty much the main character in this? He's great. He's just not really a main character. Not really a lead. He does better whenever he's a supporting character. So at 26, Cars 2. At 25, perhaps their most weirdest movie is The Good Dinosaur. This movie is fine. I mean, I think it has its moments. It can be adorable at times. I just think that it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't have a sense of identity. It's multiple genres in one. It's like a sci-fi movie, a western. I don't know, man. This movie is weird, but it did have its good parts. So at 25, The Good Dinosaur. At 24 is Cars 3. Look, this movie is, once again, it's fine. At least it's better than Cars 2. It's just, for me, it's kind of boring. So 24 is Cars 3. At 23 is Luca. I've always wanted to visit Italy, and this movie was a delight visually. I love the visuals here. But it just doesn't feel like a Pixar movie. It feels more like a Disney show that they just put on the Disney Plus. It doesn't have that same magic. Yeah, there are some emotional moments that I resonated with, but besides that, it's okay. At number 22, Monsters University. The reason why Monsters University isn't at the very end is because this movie is hands down one of the funnier Pixar movies. It's not really a good movie. It's not really a bad movie. It's not even as charming as the first movie. But I did laugh quite a bit during this, and I mean, what can I say? It needed a good laugh. It's good on that. It's not great Pixar, but yeah, I couldn't really put it at the very end either. Soul at my number 21 spot. Look, when Soul first came out, I liked it a lot. But this is one of those movies, the more I watched it and the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it has its moments. At my number 20 spot is Cars. I like Cars. I enjoyed the whole, small town kind of vibe that it was going for. I just think the movie is too long. It's almost 2 hours long, and for an animated movie, too long. At number 19, Finding Dory. Okay, this movie is nowhere near as good as Finding Nemo, but it's delightful. The visuals are beautiful. It has some funny parts in it. It has some entertaining moments in it. I liked it. All right, number 18. Number 18, this is where I'm going to start pissing a lot of people off. I think this is their most overrated movie. This is in a lot of people's top 10, even top 5, but I like it, and that's Wally, but I think it's really overrated. I think it has its moments. I love the whole romance they had, both robots that they were going up through. I like the whole futuristic stuff, but I just think this movie is once again overrated. What can I say? Number 17, Onward. The first time I watched this movie, I hated it. But I watched it more and more and more, and I kind of love this movie actually. I think it's very charming. I love the dynamic between the two brothers and how they're trying to find, well, their father. And it really resonated with me because I have brothers and I had lost my father. And so I really enjoyed this movie. I like it even more every time I watch it. It's not great Pixar, but I would say it's good Pixar. At number 16 is another one that's going to piss people off, I guess. Well, not really. It's Lightyear. Look, I'll stand by it. I think that Lightyear was better than most people said it was. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think it was better than what people were saying it was. I think it was a cool, futuristic sci-fi movie. One of those Saturday morning cartoons, and I had fun with it. It had great action. It was funny. It had some very emotional moments. And even though the movie as a whole wasn't as great as that first 40 minutes, I still think this is a good Pixar movie. Turning Red, another good Pixar movie. I like the throwbacks to the 90s. I thought the animation style was really good. It's Turning Red. I don't love this movie as much as most people do, but I like it very, very much. And I wish I could have seen it in theaters. But yeah, just my opinion. I like it a lot, a whole lot. I think it's a very good movie, just not as great as most people thought it was. Incredibles 2 is my number 14 Pixar film. This movie is so much fun, man. I love it. I love it. I think it's almost on par with the first one, in my opinion. Is it a little long? Yes. But it's just a cool superhero movie, and I like the whole family dynamic. I like the whole twists and turns. Really like this movie a lot. At my number 13 Pixar pick, that is Toy Story 4. Honestly, I think they should have just wrapped it up with number 3, but hey, if they have more stories to tell, if they feel like they can add to the Toy Story lore, then by all means. And I thought this was a very good film. It's at times a very dark movie, but I enjoyed it a lot. Once again, not as good as the other 3, but still a very good film. At my number 12, it's gonna piss a lot of people off. A lot of people off. And that is Monsters Inc. I think that Monsters Inc. best quality is the voice acting. I think in all of Pixar films, the best voice acting of any Pixar film has to go to Billy Crystal and John Goodman in Monsters Inc. I think this is a good, cute film. I just don't find it as great as a lot of people say it is. It just did not resonate with me as much as most people say it does. And I've tried. I mean, I've tried watching it multiple times. It didn't do it for me. I didn't love it as much as most people do. But I do think that it is a very good Pixar film. At my number 11, now a lot of people are going to think that this movie should be way down on my list, but I grew up watching this movie and I have a lot of special memories. I think it's just delightful. And that is A Bug's Life at my number 11 pick. What can I say? I love it. Rounding up at my number 10. All right, we're getting into the top 10. Top 10 is Elemental. Yeah, I know. This movie just came out. It hasn't been getting the greatest reviews, but I will stand by that this movie has the same heart and magic that the top tier Pixar films have. Like, it's not as great as those films, but I think it has that heart to it. I think this is, if not their, like, it might be their most mature film. This movie is, It's hard to explain. The best way I can explain it, I guess, is this movie was released the same weekend as I saw Past Lives, about two people who love each other. I felt the same way as this one. Very intimate story, very personal story, and a story about immigrants and, and in many ways racism. And I thought it was just delightful. I loved it. I think if I think everyone should give it a shot. Just give it a shot. I think they will be surprised with Elemental. I would almost bet on that. At my number 9 is The Incredibles. Holy crap. Although this for me isn't a masterpiece, it's not top tier Pixar. I just love this superhero movie. I love the whole vibe of this movie. It's just great. Toy Story 2. I will admit, the first time I watched it, I didn't love it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But the more I watched it, the more I loved it. Toy Story 2 is that rare sequel that actually lived up to the first film in the series. That is great. Inside Out at my number 7. All right. Sorry, I'm burping. Inside Out, an ingenious plot. I mean, a lot of people were saying that it took, ideas from other movies, but what movie doesn't? I mean, like, it takes certain ideas from different movies, but it makes it its own. I thought it was hilarious. It's heartbreaking. It really showed what it was like growing up as a kid, and it maybe brought a tear or two to my eyes. At number 6, Finding Nemo. I know a lot of people are surprised by it being at my number 6, but I love this movie. Easily one of Pixar's most visually stunning movies of all time. And not only is it funny and charming, it's very emotional and at times even terrifying. Okay, we're getting into the top 5. Top 5. At my number 5 is Pixar's most underrated movie of all time. This is their most underrated, and that is Ratatouille. I love this movie, and it's surprising because rats and mice are I fear them the most. But Ratatouille is such a beautiful film. I love the whole nods to French cinema, and I love that it takes place in Paris, and I love that it's a movie about following your dreams and never giving up, told from the perspective of a rat. I love this movie. Easily, like I said, top 5. It's my number 5, and it's their most underrated movie. If WALL-E is Pixar's most overrated movie, I think Ratatouille is their most underrated. I don't think it gets the attention that it deserves. All right, number 4, and maybe it's because I'm from, Spanish culture, but it's Coco. That song, that ending with the grandmother. I remember taking my nephew to go watch this. This was 6 years ago. He was about 6 or 7. I remember being I was so involved in the movie, and I was crying, and I heard someone else crying, and I looked at my little nephew who was 7 at the time, and he was just crying, and I was like, wow, for a movie to move a child like that, that's special. So Coco, I love it. It holds a very dear spot in my heart. All right, top three. Now my number 3 and my number 2, it could go either way, to be honest with you. But as of right now, my number 3 pick is Toy Story, the movie that started it all. One of the greatest animated movies of all time. It's the standard of Pixar films. It's the standard of animated films. When people started making more and more animated films, they looked to Toy Story as man, that's the big one. That's the big one. And my number 2 is Toy Story 3. Look, one of the greatest trilogies of all time, one of the greatest endings of all time, one of the most mature and hilarious and darker Pixar films to ever be released. I love this movie, and if you're not bawling, if you're not crying, if you're not shedding maybe even a single tear by the end of this movie, then you have no soul. You have no heart. Toy Story 3 is my number 2 pick. And my absolute favorite Pixar movie is Up. I love it. It has the best score of any Pixar film. It's beautiful, man. And look, it's a magical film. It's a great film on its own. But one of the reasons why this movie holds up as still my favorite is because it's a movie that I watched with my dad, and he absolutely loved it. This was his favorite animated movie of all time. And every time I watch it, it makes me think of him. And it makes me, yeah, brings back a lot of memories. And I wish he were here, so we could watch it again. Because some of my favorite moments were just sitting down and watching movies with him. And Up was one of those movies that we watched together. And I still miss them to this day. And yeah, so guys, those are my picks. Those are my Pixar films ranked. Up is my favorite, my absolute favorite Pixar movie of all time. That may change in a couple years or so, but as of right now, it's my absolute favorite. Let me know what your picks are. I'm curious to know what you think. And what did you think of my list? Were there some where you agreed with? Were there some where you're just like, man, I disagree with that? Guys, thank you so much and take care out there, okay?